Make plans to be at the 2014 Blue Ridge Fitness Festival, April 26, 2014. Mark the Machine Lowbliner brings the ANBF Natural Bodybuilding Show to Roanoke, Virginia. Extreme Living brings Jerry Ward of BioS3 Training. More information can be found at extremeliving.biz. We'll see you there.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. We're going to talk a little bit today about eating protein and drinking protein, or eating or drinking or doing both. So if you want to eat or drink protein, we're going to talk about it today and what the difference is. Now, I had a email ask me, Jerry, do I have to eat all my protein, or do I have to eat any protein at all? Can I drink it? Can I get it through supplements? And I found that an interesting question because when I was younger, there was no way I was eating 8 ounces of chicken or 8 ounces of beef or 8 ounces of tuna or whatever 4 or 5 times a day. That was just not going to happen. I didn't have the appetite for it. And I mean, I didn't prep food back then. I was pretty lazy. I was a young kid. So basically, it was much easier for me to drink my protein. And I got results. Now, were they as good results as you were eating food? Back then, I didn't know. So it didn't take me till years later till I finally figured out a few different things that I'm going to share with you guys today. Phil Hernon, who has been my coach for a couple of years now, when he did the 96 USA, I believe it was, the year that he won, he wasn't eating almost any protein at all, if any protein some days at all. He was drinking something called liquid beef aminos, LBAs. And, you know, they're no longer made, but when they were made, it was basically a liquid source of aminos that came from beef. Now, we all know that beef, well, maybe we all don't know, but beef, amino acid profile-wise, is the closest thing to muscle tissue that there is. So the way the amino acids are arranged per gram of muscle tissue are very similar to what humans have. Now, the body will take anything that it can do easiest and do it first. Okay, so if you're going to break down a sugar carb, it's going to break down that sugar. If you gave it sugar and complex carbs together, it's going to break down the sugar first. If you gave it just carbs and fat together, it's going to break down the carbs before it breaks down the fat. It just does what it wants to do easiest. That's its survival mechanism, and that's how it is in nature. So it's easier for the body to turn a beef protein into muscle if you're building muscle. The amino acids are already in the right ratios. It's ready to go. It is easier for the body to break down the liquid than it is a solid piece of steak. No arguments there. There's no fat in the LBAs, which obviously the saturated fat in the beef would slow down the digestion through the gut. So Phil was doing this, and he won the show. He won his pro card. He beat Craig Titus, who was favored to win. And he was so big and thick and lean. People were just like, fuck. And, you know, everything he did was different. It was like his training was different, and his eating was different. Bro, hey, what are you doing? Stop licking your feet over there, Goofy. And so back then, I didn't know that until probably 2005 or 2006 when I started talking to Phil. But all the way back, you know, into when I first moved to D.C., I was working with a trainer who said that I had to eat all my food. And I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I was trying to eat it all, and I was just like, fuck this. I'm like, I can't eat it. I can't chew this fucking food, swallow it. I'm so full all the time. Fuck that. I'm going back to drinking. So I drinking my protein shakes. I took out the protein, added protein shakes, and got the same results. And he didn't know any different. And, you know, when we finally talked about it, he's like, you know, how much protein you taking in? I said, this many grams. He said, what are you doing per meal? I'm like, this much per meal. I have, you know, egg whites in the morning, a shake. And he was like, a shake? He's like, what the fuck? I said, well, look, you know, I got into shape. I mean, what difference does it make? So I really had to start thinking about, you know, okay, well, you know, there is no rhyme or reason why these guys are telling me to eat food. It's turning out the same. So what would be the difference if I ate protein versus drinking protein? Now, if you eat protein, obviously you have to eat the food, you chew it, you swallow it, it sits in your stomach, it breaks down, your stomach produces acid. It takes a while to get absorbed. Now, when you drink the protein, it gets through faster. It's in a liquid form already, and it gets through this gut faster. If you're doing a whey protein, it's within, 10 minutes, it's digested. Now, to me, that's a plus, because it means you have more protein in your system faster, which keeps you more anabolic rather than sitting there waiting to digest protein that you could have had a negative nitrogen balance. I don't know. You know, you're not testing your nitrogen all day long, so you just don't know. But it makes sense to have, you know, if you're going to drink your protein. Now, same thing carb-wise. Now, if you're drinking a carb source, like, I don't know, there was one made of maltodextrin. And when I would drink this carb source, and I did this to experiment to see the difference between the carbs that I would break down digested food-wise or carbs that I drank. And I had no fat and no protein, but I just had carbs after 3 hours later after my last meal. The liquid carb, which is a maltodextrin, which is rice-based, gave me a blood sugar crash. The rice that I ate the next time didn't. They come from the same thing and essentially are the same, but had two different reactions. The carbohydrate that I drank got in my system so fast that it spiked and it dropped really quickly. Interesting, right? Well, the rice, since I ate it, had to break down, so it entered the bloodstream slower, less insulin increase, less drop in blood sugar, worked differently, even though they were the same exact molecules, just different. So that's when I kind of figured, you know what, it would be better to eat the carbohydrates than drink the carbs, because you're going to get that slower release into the bloodstream, and obviously your hormones are not going to go haywire. And protein, though, it'd be better to drink the protein and get it in your system faster, so that if you're in a negative nitrogen balance, you'll be in a positive nitrogen balance as fast as possible. So it's better to drink the protein, get it in there quicker. So through these conclusions, I figured, of course, as you're drinking the protein with carbohydrates and fats, that slows down the digestion in general. I mean, there's lots of different things that cause it, but the conclusions that I came to is no, you do not have to eat protein. You don't have to eat carbs. You don't have to eat fats. I drink olive oil all the time as my main source of fat in my shakes. You don't have to eat the food if you don't want to. Do they cause different reactions in the body after you have ingested a liquid or a solid? Yes, they do. Depending on what you're trying to get from them is, what combination you should choose. And, honestly, if you don't want to eat protein, drink it. If you don't want to eat carbs, drink it. If you don't want to eat fat, drink it. As long as you're getting it in, by the end of the day, like the IFYM, you should be okay. However, if you're trying to manipulate your hormonal system throughout the day to get faster and better results, I'm not saying you're not going to get results doing the, just get them in, fit your macros by the end of the day. But if you want faster results, which I've proven over and over again, doing what I do with myself and my clients, you have to look at when to use the liquids and when to use the solids, and how to fit them in your diet together. BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostraining.com is the blog, and where you can drink your protein if you want to. Bicep, and we're out.